We invite you to follow us and continue to Turkey, a place that will truly make you burst. 15 strange prohibitions and oddities that exist only in Turkey. Hiding between the western part of Asia and the eastern part of Europe, Turkey is a culturally rich Middle Eastern country deeply influenced by the Roman, Greek, Ottoman, Byzantine, and Persian empires that once ruled this land. This long history has turned Turkey into an extremely mysterious country with many rules and principles that defy logic and are not found anywhere else in the world. Join me in the next few minutes to explore the prohibitions and peculiarities that exist in this country. Number 15. Prohibition on direct communication with single women in public places. No matter how much you like a Turkish girl, it is not allowed to approach her and start a conversation right on the street, even if you know her previously. Turks highly value discretion and respect towards women. They believe that directly talking to Turkish women, especially young or single ones in public places, is an indecent act and may lead to misunderstandings. In Turkish culture, there is a level of respect between genders, especially in public. Typically, Turkish men will avoid direct communication with unfamiliar or unrelated women in situations like public transportation, social events, or other public places. This attitude reflects the respect and protection of the honor of women in Turkish society and signifies the acceptance and respect for the country's traditional and cultural values. If a girl is seen talking to a man on the street, she may be judged as being too casual, and it can be challenging for her to get married in the future because no Turkish man wants to marry a woman who appears casual. Number 14. Prohibition on body language in communication. Do you often give the OK sign to your friends? If that's your habit, you should correct it immediately before going to Turkey, as it might lead to a disaster. While in other countries the OK sign represents agreement or approval, in Turkey, it is considered an offensive gesture. Therefore, you should absolutely avoid making the OK sign in Turkey to prevent unnecessary trouble. If you want to say yes or agree with someone, you should nod your head once. If you want to say no or disagree, you should raise your chin, frown, and slightly press your tongue against the roof of your mouth. Also, pointing at someone while talking is considered impolite for those who have strong self-respect and a firm belief in spirituality. Offending them can have significant consequences. Number 13. Prohibition on buying stones and antiques. Do not buy any stones or fossils when vacationing in Turkey, as they're considered cultural artifacts, and exporting them is illegal. All antiques, especially those with historical or cultural significance, fall under the same category. Owning, buying, and especially exporting them is unlawful. The penalties for this action can include up to 12 years in prison or a substantial fine. In Turkey, markets are among the favorite places for international tourists due to the diverse range of items, especially in decorative item markets. Many of these items are souvenirs or replicas of antiques, but some are genuine ancient artifacts. Some items may be bought and sold within Turkey, but taking these items out of the country is illegal. What makes it complicated is that in Turkey, the definition of antique items not only considers their age and historical significance, but also their rarity. Therefore, distinguishing between allowed and prohibited items can be challenging for international tourists. While cases of confusion are rare, they do happen. Travelers should be cautious when shopping in Turkey to avoid legal consequences. Before deciding to purchase a decorative or souvenir item, it is advisable to ask the seller for legal documentation authenticating that the item is only for display or souvenir purposes. In addition to antique-related issues, tearing banknotes can be considered offensive and can lead to imprisonment for 6 months to 3 years. Tourists also need permission to take photos near military facilities in the country. Number 12. Ban on Twitter. If you are traveling to Turkey, be cautious about your Twitter account, as there is a possibility that you will not have access until you leave the country. This is because, following the earthquake disaster in Turkey, access to Twitter for users in the country was blocked by the government. Many Twitter users in the country couldn't post tweets about the earthquake that occurred in February 2023. This was considered a foolish reaction by the Turkish government, as the disaster claimed over 177,000 lives. They aimed to block any information from the public, most of which was about the shortcomings in the government's rescue efforts. Before this incident, Turkey had also restricted Twitter advertising. According to Turkey's social media law, Social media companies without a local representative would face a series of fines. The law allows authorities to remove content from platforms instead of blocking access, as done previously. Using Twitter in Turkey poses a challenge, and it is advisable to check your account regularly when visiting the country. Number 11. Taxis must have a logo. I should have brought this rule to the forefront because it is crucial and can affect you right from the moment you set foot in the country. The matter of choosing the right taxi for travelers is quite common, but in Turkey, it's important not to choose taxis without logos. The reason is that some taxi drivers in Turkey often deceive tourists by taking longer routes or using faulty meters to charge additional fees. Therefore, one thing you should never do in Turkey is to take a taxi without a logo because you cannot determine which taxi brand it belongs to. It's best to choose taxis with logos on the door to use a taxi service with accurate fare meters. Moreover, unchecked taxis could belong to individuals with malicious intent. Surveillance by Turkish police is relatively loose, so you must take measures to protect yourself rather than expect timely assistance from them. Number 10. Prohibition on wasting food. Immersing yourself in local cuisine is one of the most authentic ways to experience a culture. Turkish cuisine is celebrated worldwide, but don't forget to adhere to basic table manners. For instance, when using toothpicks, handle them discreetly. In Turkey they are called kurur, and using them without any finesse can be considered impolite. Most importantly, you must eat everything on your plate. It would be considered disrespectful if you leave food on the plate when dining with a Turkish family. Leaving anything behind indicates that you don't like what they provided. This is a sign of maximum respect, and the proper behavior is to complete everything on your plate. People here highly respect food, considering it a gift from the divine, and wasting it is never acceptable. Otherwise, they may face penalties. Even if it doesn't taste good, you should try to finish it unless you want to encounter trouble. Number 9. Belly dancing. I bet you that this is one of the things that attract men to Turkey the most, the captivating belly dances of Turkish women. Belly dancing, also known as Middle Eastern dance, is a traditional and famous dance of the Arab people. But did you know that the origin of this art form is from Turkey? Originally, belly dancing was just a performance art for palace feasts. It wasn't until the late 18th to early 19th century that Europeans became aware of and recognized belly dancing as an art form that honors the beauty and perfection of women. Approaching belly dancing is also an effective way to appreciate Middle Eastern culture, where belly dancing has become a distinctive feature from Turkey to Egypt and even India. Belly dancing has created significant allure, spreading to many countries worldwide. Nowadays, belly dance classes, competitions, and performances have become familiar. Belly dance is not only for women anymore, even men can practice belly dancing. The health benefits have transformed belly dance from an art form into a sport chosen by many. However, there is an extremely illogical thing existing in Turkey related to this dance, making me skeptical about the principles that the Turkish people adhere to. Number 8. No last names. Everyone has a first and last name, right? Well, not in Turkey. Most people didn't have last names until the Turkish government enacted a law requiring everyone to have a last name or face sanctions in 1934. In the culture and tradition of the Turkish people, the use of last names is not as common as in some other countries. Instead, people in Turkey are often referred to by their first name accompanied by their father's name. For example, a person might be called Ali, son of Mehmet, where Ali is the personal name and Mehmet is the name of his father. This creates a distinctive calling system and reflects the importance of family in Turkish culture. Certainly, after the government regulation in communication with foreigners or in official documents, Turks had to use the last name system similar to European countries. However, in everyday communication, the naming system based on the father's name is still more common. So don't be surprised if you see a Turkish person having at least 2 different names. It's a quirky and interesting characteristic. Number 7. No revealing clothing allowed. We all know that belly dancing requires extremely sensual attire, at least revealing the waist and hip area. However, strangely, the girls who belly dance are not constrained by the prohibition on revealing attire in this country. For ordinary citizens and tourists, dressing provocatively is something not to be done in Turkey. In this country, where 97.8% of the population is Muslim, the dress culture remains modest. Unlike many other countries, when traveling here, it's advisable to wear modest clothing to avoid disapproving looks from the locals, especially when visiting famous mosques in Turkey, such as the Blue Mosque or Yeni Kami. You should not wear revealing outfits like crop tops, short skirts, or shorts to show respect. With modest clothing, you will feel more comfortable when sightseeing and traveling in Turkey, and you won't attract excessive attention. Number 6. Every 10 days, a new plant species is discovered. It's not by chance that Turkey is consistently among the top 35 countries with the most diverse biological hotspots in the world. The country, situated between Asia and Europe, with extremely diverse geographical and climatic conditions, provides a habitat for over 880,000 animal species and 10,000 flourishing plant species. Notably, these figures continue to increase every year. Turkey boasts organic landscapes like forests, grasslands, deserts, freshwater lakes, and seas. This creates a diverse living environment for numerous flora and fauna. If you have a great love for nature and want to discover a new plant species on your own, try exploring the map of Turkey, marking national parks and reserves, or simply embarking on trekking and mountain climbing. Who knows? You might discover a new plant or animal species that hasn't been documented before. Number 5. Strangest wrestling. Olive oil wrestling. Olive oil is always known for its exquisite taste and is present in countless famous dishes. But did you know it's also the main ingredient in a wrestling competition in Turkey? If I hadn't seen videos of this wrestling, I wouldn't believe it. But they indeed coat themselves with olive oil to increase the difficulty of this competition. The Olive Oil Wrestling Festival is considered a tradition that has been around for 658 years. For Turkish men, the festival showcases their strength, and each participant takes pride in being part of it. In the wrestling arena, Turkish men will bare their upper bodies, wear buffalo hide trousers, cover themselves in olive oil, and wrestle until they find the victor under the scorching sunlight. The wrestlers take turns until they find the ultimate winner to claim the championship belt and prize money. If you want to witness this oily and lively battle, head to Turkey in July. The handsome and muscular wrestlers at the festival will leave you amazed. Number 4. Prohibition on eating in public places during Ramadan. If you visit Turkey between March and April, remember that it's not allowed to carry snacks around the streets and indulge in them, as it's a foolish thing to do during this time when most people in Turkey are fasting. The month of Ramadan holds cultural and religious significance for Muslims worldwide. For most of Turkey's population, strict adherence to fasting rules is emphasized as a way to demonstrate their dedication during Ramadan. They fast the entire month, which is considered one of the 5 pillars of Islam. The Ramadan festival is organized according to the Islamic calendar rather than the Gregorian calendar. You must ensure that you do not eat or drink anything in public places. Practicing the annual commemoration during Ramadan, actions like speaking ill, arguing, or displaying impatience are deemed inappropriate for the spirit of this month. Smoking is a prohibited behavior in the history and teachings of Islam, and it is also considered unsuitable during Ramadan. Therefore, if you visit Turkey during this time, you need to be cautious in your actions to avoid being disliked by the local people. Number 3. Bargain. When shopping, bargaining or haggling a bit won't harm you. It ensures you get the best price for anything you buy in Turkey. I can tell you that goods in Turkey are often marked up significantly higher than their actual value. Turkey has unique traditional bazaars that are perfect for both exploring local culture and shopping at reasonable prices. Famous bazaars to visit include the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul and Kemeraltı Bazaar in Izmir. Handicrafts, carpets, fashion accessories, and traditional Turkish delight are some standout items in these markets, especially the original flavor of Turkish delight, which can only be found in these traditional bazaars. But here, you must remember to always bargain before buying, as I mentioned, prices are often double for foreign visitors. Bargaining can sometimes be quite interesting, and more importantly, you won't end up paying for something that isn't truly worth it. Number 2. The mystery of the name Turkey. Did you know that there was a campaign to abandon the name Turkey in Turkey? It might sound funny, but it's true. The way the country's name is written in Turkish has been in use since 1923, when Turkey became a new nation after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. In reality, the term Turkey is not new or unfamiliar to the people of Turkey, as they have been calling their country Turkey since 1923, when the nation declared independence. The issue here is that the term Turkey, when searched on Google, results in a jumble of images, articles, and dictionary definitions associating the country with the large bird, native to North America, famously served in Christmas menus or Thanksgiving dinners. Meanwhile, the Cambridge Dictionary defines Turkey as something that is extremely unsuccessful or a foolish or silly person. To avoid the country being associated with the turkey bird of foolishness, Turkey decided to change its name. Number 1. The homeland of Santa Claus and tulips. The man associated with the childhood of children and one of the most enchanting flowers in the world, both have their origins in Turkey. Santa Claus was born in the region of Patara in Turkey, based on the real-life figure of Saint Nicholas, a Turkish bishop who lived in the 4th century. Saint Nicholas was born into a wealthy family, and from a young age he was devout, having a strong faith in God, always helping the less fortunate, and having a generous heart towards everyone. One famous tale about him is the story of the gold coins placed in stockings. On one occasion he encountered a poor family with 3 daughters of marriageable age, but because of their extreme poverty, no one wanted to marry them. That night he secretly dropped gold coins down the chimney and they fell into the stockings. The next morning, the father saw the miraculous happening in the stockings and exclaimed, "Thank God for his grace." Through that silent act, the 3 sisters found peaceful family lives and lived happily ever after. As for tulips, although we do not have information about where the first tulips grew, during the Ottoman era, this flower was popularized and introduced to European countries. There is speculation that the first tulip seeds were sent when a Flemish envoy met Ottoman Emperor Suleiman in the 16th century and brought them to Holland. So if someone asks you about the homeland of tulips, don't rush to answer. Holland might not be the correct response. The historical landmarks, delicious cuisine, and enchanting landscapes of Turkey will undoubtedly captivate you, but don't forget the forbidden things that we just reminded you of. Alright, thank you for watching until the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.